Welcome everyone to episode 98 of Missing Pieces. My name's Greg, and this is where I sit down and I discuss my life, Lego, and anything else that's on my mind. It's currently Friday morning and the house is completely silent. Cody's off to work, Clark is off to school. The only sound that can be heard is the sound of Roxy Bear laying beside me here snoring, but it makes the perfect soundtrack to sit here and record a podcast, which I'm thankful that you're tuning into. Thank you for taking time out of your week and your day to be here with me. This episode is going to center around a video that I watched this week by the Vlogbrothers. It's a channel that I followed for a very long time. Two guys that are brothers, coincidentally, and they make videos back and forth to each other, discussing a range of topics, educational things, philosophy, you name it, they make videos on it. And this week, John put out a video that was titled How We Spend Our Days. And it's a video that really resonated with me, and I thought it would make a great topic to discuss this week because I think a lot about how I spend my time. Am I being productive? Am I using my time in the best way possible? Is this thing that I'm working on something that I should be working on, or should I be doing something else? The time that I'm spending doing this, should I be doing that? Finding balance, all of this really plays a big role in how I think. And John made a video this week that discussed how we spend our days is how we spend our lives, because our lives are made out of days. And I thought this might be a good topic to talk about, not just for me, but for you as well, thinking about how are you spending your day, and is that how you want your life to go? Because today may seem small, but when you start adding up these days after days after days, it becomes something big. And I started thinking about that for myself. Obviously, I can't comment on you, and I'm not here to judge you, and I hopefully you're not here to judge me, although, you know, that's perfectly natural if you do. But I was thinking about how I spend my days, and most of my days as they stand currently, and for a long time now, I spend them creating content, obviously. The stuff that you watch on YouTube, the stuff that you consume are the things that I produce. My productivity is producing videos, and I do that quite often. Recording them takes a good deal of time, but editing them is the real thing. And I spend a lot of my time sitting here or anywhere in the house really and working on videos for people. And it is a lot of time. Oftentimes I don't notice how much time I spend on these things, but when I have like a timer set, or when Clark's playing like Minecraft here beside me as I'm editing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, an hour just passed, and I'm like not even done with this 15-minute video. It's remarkable to think about that. But then I think, is this a good use of my time? And personally, I feel like it is, because I love to create content. I look at videos, and I mentioned this in the past, I look at making a video or editing a video to almost be like my form of sculpting, making a sculpture where you have this block and you're sculpting it into making this thing that you're really proud of, and a piece of art that you want to share. And I know maybe to you, the things that you watch on my channels may seem nothing like art at all. It's just a guy sharing what he's doing or what his thoughts are of things. But for me, it's something that I take a lot of pride in. And I think that's important in anything that you do, that you should be proud of it. And I am. And that's what got me thinking that I am actually spending my day and my life doing the thing that I should be doing. Maybe it's out of balance or out of harmony, as Papa Bear commented on the last video, where I maybe put too much time in. Do I need to be making 15 videos a week as opposed to 3 videos a week? You know, that's debatable, but I have a lot to share and a lot on my heart and a lot on my mind that I like to put out there. I don't make videos because it's Wednesday and I need to have a video today. I make a video because it's Wednesday and this is what I'm working on today, and I want to share that, and that's what I love to do. So it was just something that got me thinking a little bit. And I would say the one thing in my life, if we're being completely honest here, which I think of all places on the internet, this is probably one of the most honest places. I would say the thing that I neglect the most at this point in my life is probably my physical fitness. I should probably be doing more of that. Maybe taking Roxy for walks instead of sitting here for however long editing or making a video or whatever. But it's what I love. It's my passion. And one thing that I really found interesting in that video that I watched, which I'm going to link down below so you can watch it as well, because as you'll see, those guys are way better at making videos than I am. The one thing that he mentioned from his brother, of all people, he had this quote that I'll quote here. He says, "You'll always struggle with not feeling productive until you accept that your own joy can be something you produce." This is something that I've struggled with before regarding like video games or watching movies or not making videos. That is, we're so taught that productivity comes from economics. Is that thing making money? Is it generating this? Is it moving the wheel forward? And when you sit down to do something that you enjoy, you feel lazy, and you shouldn't. Like, say you really love watching football games, whatever football is to you, wherever you're from. You love that, but it doesn't feel productive, does it? But are you producing something? Yes, you're producing joy. Hopefully the thing you're doing, you're enjoying, because otherwise you shouldn't be doing it. But you are producing something, and that's something that I don't think, at least here in America, I don't think we put a lot of value in. So I'm trying to teach that to myself. Like, even with gaming, for example, I have a gaming channel, and when I game, I justify it by being like, well, I'll stream it. That way I'm entertaining people, and that gives me like a purpose in doing it. And I think that's fine. But I just, for myself, I'm trying to learn that, and maybe you can learn from this as well, that you can just do something and you don't have to worry about it because you don't need to be productive. It's not essential. And your joy can be that thing you produce. And that video really got me thinking about that. I really, I think it's always good to reflect on how you're using your time and how you're spending your days. And is this something that you're going to be proud of someday? Or are you proud of it now? Is this the legacy that you want to leave? And for me, like, I look back at these videos that I've made, the times that I've spent editing, like all the dedication and everything that I've put into this. And it never becomes more apparent than when I look at older videos and I'm like, wow, that was really amazing. Like what we captured there, I'm so happy to have. And I noticed that today because I was editing a video I'm doing like a series of remote learning kindergarten videos where we're kind of like doing highlights. And I look back at these videos and I'm like, wow, I feel so happy and lucky to have all of this. And it was because I put that time into it. So I think even after watching that video and maybe the lesson that came from it was the things that you don't always have to be being productive. You don't always have to be like going, but if that's what you really want to do, I think that's the thing you should do. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. So I just wanted to share that with you. And I guess kind of tie that into how I spent my week this week. I came very close to not making an episode this week. I was like, nothing really happened. It was just another week in my life. Nothing special to share, but that's not true. I know Roxy Bear. Roxy scoffs at that idea. Every week or every day, I try to say this all the time because I need to remember this as well. Every day is special. Even if it feels like it's just a normal day, it is special. And this week I spent most of my time working on Lego stuff. Clark is at school now. There's not a whole lot going on there. Last year at this time, I was spending my days documenting our time together in remote learning kindergarten and all the things that came of that. Now I find myself with this time, and I'm very thankful for that because I can work on making brickitect content, which I've been enjoying. Like this week, for example, I have a little list here that I'll share with you. First thing I did was I started our Lego amusement park, got the very first part of that going. And Clark started doing a little bit of stuff with that as well. He's working on a toy store, which actually inspired me to make like a Lego store within our amusement park. And I found a design for one. I forget where it is. I think it's within a mall. I was looking at Google Images, and I love the exterior design of it. It's like a corner building, and I want to try to recreate that in our theme park. I don't know if I have all the parts to do it, but I'm going to try to make do with what I have. And if I need to make bricklink orders, I'm going to do that, which I'm certainly going to have to do. In fact, it gave me the idea for another series on this channel called Bricklink Buying with Brickitect. We got the triple B's happening there, where I just share my bricklink hauls because I need roller coaster parts like crazy. So we're going to be ordering those. They're not too bad. I was thinking they'd be more expensive than they are. Each piece of roller coaster's around $1 or so, a little bit over $1. So you can make a roller coaster for not a ton of money. I guess that maybe is expensive when you think about some pieces being 3 cents or whatever, but I think it's going to be fun. So I have a lot that I want to do with that. I also have an idea for the front entranceway. I want to kind of model it after Legoland, and I think it was Legoland, California, maybe. I have an image saved of one that I really love. I love the entryway to it. So I'm going to try to recreate that to make like an entryway, and then everything beyond that just becomes its thing. So this thing's going to be like kind of long with the table, and we'll see what it turns into. Clark, of course, is already making wild things. He has a monster that I did a little YouTube short on. I guess I'm in the YouTube short business now, where the monster's on top of the toy store, which has been destroyed. Ideally, I'd like a full, complete toy store, but maybe we can integrate that monster into the amusement park somewhere. Maybe it can be inside the toy store. I think that'd be great. And I'm telling you, he is the inspiration for me with a lot of things and a lot of the ideas that we come up with. And it's going to be great. Like, I'm really excited about this, and you guys are as well. I made that little video just kind of introducing it and talking about it. And the big takeaway that I want from that one, and I think probably this is the audience that needs to hear this, is that you can do it too. And if you're an adult like myself, maybe you have a younger builder at home, it'd be a great thing to do together. And if you have the opportunity or the space, which I think we all have, maybe a desk or something that we could dedicate to putting some Lego pieces on, maybe you can make something neat out of it and share that together and prove that you don't necessarily always have to be buying Lego sets. You can play with what you have and make some really new and exciting things with it. And that's where we're going with it. Also this week, in addition to that, I also made my $5 eBay video that came out, and I opened the package up only to find the pieces were all chewed up, and a quarter of my quarter pound was non-Lego. So I sent a message to the seller, and I'll be making a video on this because it's a kind of an entry into the series. I sent a message essentially saying, like, I'm not upset about this. I'm just disappointed. If you said in your description that this wasn't genuine clean Lego, which, I mean, maybe it was clean, but it certainly wasn't genuine, and you said I found a box of Lego at a yard sale or an auction and I'm bagging it up and the pieces are random, that'd be totally fine, but you can't make claims like this if it's not true. And they never replied to me, but they did give me a full refund, which I wasn't expecting. I didn't ask for that. I just was like, you should clear this up with people in the future. It's not cool, right? And they just gave me a full refund. So I guess I'm going to go back in and I'm going to buy something else for $5 if I can find it. And I'll do like a redo on the $5 episode before we go into the $10 episode, which I should probably shoot today now that I'm thinking about it, because by the time I order the stuff and then the stuff gets shipped to me, it takes a bit of time. So I kind of want to be ahead of the videos because the $5 one's already out and I don't have my $10 item ordered yet. So should probably get like one ahead. But I like the videos to kind of flow, and I like having feedback from the previous video to go into the next one. That way I can kind of reflect on what we've done in the past, because it's hard to feel connected to your audience when the video isn't out yet. And then you're making a follow-up to that, which, speaking of, kind of takes me to the next topic this week that was interesting. I built the Iron Man helmet last week, and I made a video on it talking about how I liked the model. The proportions are off, obviously, but there were some issues with the coloring on the gold pieces. I was like, some of these look tan, some of them look gold, and like Lego needs to really step it up with their quality because like it doesn't look good. So I said, I'm going to go on Bricklink and order a bunch of these gold pieces and try to get ones that match. Bricksar, upon watching my video like right when it came out, he said that those pieces aren't actually gold. They're actually tan with gold printing on one side of them. And I had no idea. I built this thing sitting at this desk talking to Sai. I had like a desk lamp on and we were just building it up. So I was like, let me check this out. I popped his eyebrow off, or whatever you want to call it. And lo and behold, one of those sides had gold on it and all the rest were tan. So I flipped all those around and made an update video. I felt silly making that mistake, but to me it shows the power of YouTube and how awesome this is, that you can share your hobby and share something that you're struggling with or something you have an issue with and then have somebody help you with it. It's remarkable. Never in the history of time did we have these opportunities that we have now. Like right now I'm sitting here recording this, and Lord willing, a few thousand people will listen to this. And that's just crazy to think that. But we live in some amazing times. No matter what you may think or see out there that maybe leads you to believe that we're like in the end days or whatever, or bad things are happening, it may be true, but we're also really lucky to one, have this freedom that we have, I suppose, and also to have the financial luxuries that we have, to not be like hunting our food right now and cooking it over a fire, to be able to live indoors, to have electricity. All these things we all take for granted are amazing, as are having friends that can help you out with messing up on your Lego set. So thank you, Jabbo, for that. I know he's listening. Thank you for fixing my Iron Man. He no longer looks, well, he still does look janky. So we can't fix that. You can't give me advice on that one, I don't think. Although someone in the comments of that told me or referred me to a video on how they fix the helmet. So I might have to look at that, because occasionally there's a few little modifications you can make to Lego sets to make them way better, which would be a whole new series, I think, or a great series to put on this channel. I'm a man of many series. In addition to that, in the world of Lego building, as you can see behind me are the Bugatti sitting here. That is, if you're watching this. You can also listen to this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, whatever you're into. I finished the transmission of the Bugatti, which I said in my YouTube short, which will be going out here in just a few minutes, actually. I said, if this feels like one of those bags that if you can do this, you can do pretty much anything in the world of Lego, because the transmission of it is very complicated. You have to get all the gears lined up. Everything needs to be on. And I took my time. I was fiddling with the gears endlessly, like as I'm building it, making sure everything spins and moves. And it seems like it's right. So 2 bags are down, 12 to go. And in 3 months' time, I'm actually going to have a fully built Bugatti, which will be on that shelf back there. There's a spot for it. And you may notice, or you may not notice, because I know it's, this camera blurs the background quite a bit. I actually brought some Lego sets out from storage, and I put in some shelves down here. So that was like the big non-Lego thing that I did this week. I got all these shelves set up. They all have stuff in there. There's going to be a video on it. Again, a lot of this stuff kind of happens out of order, but there's a whole video, and I'm really excited to share that with you, all the stuff that I did there. But I love the way that looks, and if you look over my shoulder there, you can see that fits so much better under the projector screen, and I've got a ton of sets inside there. Every one of those little cubes has at least 1 or 2 sets in there, which took stuff out of the storage room. And, I'm excited. It's always going to be like an evolving thing that's going to be changing. And, new sets are going to come out. Old sets are going to get retired from the brickitect studio. And as long as they're 12 by 12 or smaller, they can fit in there, which leads me to an issue that I have with my bigger sets, like the modulars and all that stuff. But I have a spot over here that you can, I guess, never see, that I'd love to put a bookshelf in, like a weight bookshelf that has those on there. So I'm looking into that. I bought 3 bookshelves when we moved into this house for our office, and I love those shelves. They're very good quality, but it's one of those things that I went to look for, and like you can't buy them anymore, which sucks. So I'll have to find an alternative and see what I can do. I don't really want to bring my black wire shelves out here. I don't feel like they look that good. And there was a time in my life that I really liked them, but I like the white. I like white shelves. I just think it looks super clean, and I like it to look that way in here. So that is something that I did. So most of my work this week was basically working towards this hobby, or whatever you want to call this, my Lego collecting journey. It was making content for this, and I'm just having so much fun with it. I know Roxy Bear. Roxy Bear enjoys it too. She gets to lay down here on my carpeting while I work on all these things. Again, brings the question, should I be here doing this, or should we be out doing something right now? But you can do both. Harmony, balance, find those things. But that's kind of what was on my heart this week to talk about. That video really got me thinking, and hopefully in my discussion of this, it's got you thinking a little bit as well about how you're using your time. Not regarding wasting it, but how you're spending your day. Is this what you want for your life? It's a question. It's something to think about. And it's something that I think I'll continue thinking about. This isn't just something where I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to keep making Lego videos. I think it's going to change over time. And you got to think about what chapter you're in your life. There are chapters where you are grinding on something. You're like, man, I don't like doing this job or whatever that I'm doing, but I really got to work hard on this because I'm saving for this thing. And once I get through this, everything's going to be fine. It's not to say it's permanent, but if there's too many days, and I think Steve Jobs may have said this, and I'm probably going to butcher this quote, but if you spend too many days in a row doing something you don't want to do, you need to reevaluate. And that's easy to say when you're a billionaire, but maybe slightly harder to say when you're trying to put food on the table. But it is something to consider. And you can make changes in your life. No matter where you're at, you can make changes in your life that will make you happier. It does take some risk, but you can do it, because it's the people that are motivated and it's the people that are driven are the people that get what they want. And you got to figure out a way to be one of those people. But anyways, that's, I guess, a little bit of advice-itect for you. I'm not here to change your life or to tell you what to do. I'm just here to tell you my experience and things that I'm thinking about, and maybe it can help you. Hopefully it doesn't hurt you. But speaking of interacting with you guys, listener feedback this week. It was so good. I want to thank you so much for everybody that participated in the comment section. I was blown away. I went on here and I'm like, wow, so many people were reflecting on what I talked about last week, which was you can have too much Lego. It seemed to resonate with people. And I'm going to read some of those comments here in listener feedback, my favorite portion of Missing Pieces. The first comment comes from Life with Nick and Haley. In regards to having too much, he says, yes, of course, Greg. I'm surprised you didn't come to the conclusion earlier. I guess having a YouTube channel makes you feel as though it's a necessity. Was that a big part of your choice to continue buying even in the past when you probably realized you had too much even then? No, I've never purchased anything for this channel or in my Lego collecting journey for YouTube or to make people happy or whatever. It's always been because it's something I'm interested in. I would have been doing this had I not been recording these videos. Well, maybe not, because I'd probably be broke, because Lego stuff is expensive and it definitely helps having that revenue coming in. But I've never been a person, and I think this is pretty clear from my channel and its performance. I've never been the person to run out and buy something the day it's released because I need to have it so I can do the haul video and do the review and have it up before everyone else. That's not me. I buy stuff because I love it, and then I want to build it, and I want to share it with Clark, and I want to share it with you. That's why I do things. As far as having too much, you only really realize it when there is some type of constraint. Space being one, money being the other. Those are the two things that hold us all back. And the space thing is something that I constantly struggle with. But what I've realized more than anything, Nick, who I'm assuming I'm speaking to, is that the things that you bring into your world or into your life, they can sometimes become a burden. And that's where I felt the Lego stuff kind of taking me as of late, which is why I'm happy that the Lego amusement park thing is happening, because those are pieces we already have for the most part. Sure, we'll be adding some Bricklink stuff in, but when you order something for Bricklink, when I order my roller coaster pieces, it doesn't come with a box and a manual and all this stuff that I arbitrarily feel like I need to somehow manage and maintain and keep stored. It's just pieces. And I like that way better. So I'm very happy about that. But as far as doing this for any other reason other than because I want to, that's the only reason. It's literally the only reason. Like, I think about it like this too. As for my income, brickitect is about... it fluctuates between 5 and 10% of my actual income that I make from online sources. In terms of time that I put into it, it's probably about 70% of my time, sometimes more. This week, probably like 85% of my time. In most situations, in a business setting, you would say, okay, so I could save 80% of my time and only lose 10% of my income. I'm going to do that. I wouldn't even be making Lego videos. It wouldn't make any sense for me to be doing this unless I actually really enjoyed this. And that's why I'm here. Because otherwise, I just wouldn't. In fact, what I would do is probably go make more Greg's World videos, because that channel does much better. I'd make Thomas videos or trains or RC stuff. I mean, all that stuff does better, but I have this passion for Lego, and that's why I'm here. And I'm hoping that's why you're here too. Hopefully you notice that. Next comment, though, comes from Felix. He says, ooh, I had to leave a comment on this episode because I can completely relate to the idea of having too much stuff. We were planning on moving next year, and we realized that we have so much stuff in our house, literally tons of containers of stuff we've had in storage since we last moved. We probably took 6 tubs to a flea market last week and made 200 pounds. All stuff that was just catching dust, which is really scary in that we accumulate stuff and it often just gets so easily forgotten and becomes clutter. I've adopted the philosophy of thinking of whatever I buy should be an investment. And thinking this way often reflects how much I pay for an item. So much stuff we buy brand new and use for a small period of time ends up massively decreasing in value. But I guess that's how the world works, where we end up spending lots of money on the latest material goods that end up being sold and given away for almost nothing. I'd recommend the Minimalist documentary on Netflix. It's a brilliant insight that changed my perspective on how much I should own or collect. I think that's great advice. I think similarly to that, not necessarily an investment, but I think about how much life energy do I have to give up to get this thing? And is it worth that? And am I going to get the value out of it? I think about value a lot in almost every aspect of my life. Is the value there? And sometimes, you spend $100 on a Lego set. This perfect example, RC versus Lego. If I spent $200 on an RC truck, I get something really amazing that I'd put a lot of time into and have a lot of value out of it in terms of playability. The Lego thing, not quite as much value in my opinion. It's fun to build, but then it sits. Nothing happens with it. It goes on display, and there's value in that. It just depends where your priorities are. So think about value when you spend your money or how you spend your time and any expenditure you have. Think about the value you're getting out of that. And again, some of that value can't be measured. It can be joy. Sometimes value can't be measured. I think that's probably the biggest takeaway from this episode. So Felix, thank you for sharing that. And Nick, thank you for your comment as well. Next one comes from Bricklover 225, who is on the same subject. He says, I'm right there with you, Greg. I've been backing off on a Lego city for quite a bit this year and focusing on more advanced sets like modulars, which I built 3 so far for my city this year. And I have 1 sealed and I have another one that has arrived tomorrow, which will now allow me to have all the current modulars, which is something. It is something, actually. I'm really trying to do to achieve since I got into them over 3 years ago. So with this year being my 21st birthday, I had plans to go to the Lego store to celebrate my birthday, but those plans did not work out. So my mom allowed me to order the 1989 Batmobile because I not only love Batmobiles, but my mom got me, I thought you were going to say I not only love Batmobiles, but I love my mom. But she got me shelves from Amazon back in February, and I have one 24-inch shelf empty, saving it specially for the Batmobile, which is to retire this year. So I wanted a new challenge for Lego, so I can't wait to add my first UCS style set to my collection. That's cool. Again, thinking about what are you enjoying? And if you have a spot for it, like a Bugatti or a Tumbler, fill that thing up with something that's going to bring you happiness. And when you look at that thing, even if it may not be something that you can drive around actively like an RC vehicle, maybe you have no interest in RC. How is that possible? I'm kidding. I hope you get your $200 of value out of it. Next comment comes from Scott. It says, really like the sentiment of this. I made a switch over last year or so to only buy sets that I absolutely love. If the set is just cool to me, then I'll pass because I usually end up regretting those later. Same. I'm kind of at the point now where, and I think I mentioned this last week, where I'm only buying sets if they are like huge ones that I really love, or if it's something that I'm going to have on display. If it's going to be just like a random creator set that I'm going to build and then like tear apart and put into storage, I don't see a reason to get that unless Clark really likes it. That really impacts my decision making a lot too. But if it's something and like this is where things get scary, it's with clearance. If it's something that's just cheap, I might buy it just to put the parts into our collection, but it just seems like, then it's more boxes and more manuals and more things. It's more burden. That's where I'm at right now. And it seems like some of these guys are kind of relating to that. Next one, another person, Chris. He says, Greg, I really identify with the problems around the size of your Lego collection. I recently purchased a huge bulk lot from Facebook Marketplace. While I'm extremely excited about some of the new pieces and partial sets in it, I'm realizing that I don't have the space to keep buying bulk lots in the hopes of finding a good deal on retired sets. I'm going to try to just buy specific pieces that I don't own instead of buying entire used sets. On the topic of Lego Masters, I tried watching the Australian version and the second season of the American one and just couldn't get past the cringe in either. I really do love the builds, so I'm settling for watching the last half of the show where the builds are displayed and judged. I watch Lego Masters and Missing Pieces while sorting the pieces for my bulk lot. I hope to see you in Clarkman's classic Lego theme park. I'll be sorting for a while and I need the entertainment. All right. You got it, Chris. But yeah, dude, I'm with you on getting too much stuff. When you have a storage room that's completely full and you have like a path to walk down it, that's when you know things are bad. And again, sometimes you don't really realize it until you run out of space. Like if I had a warehouse, wouldn't even be having conversations with you guys. It'd just be like, let's put it in the warehouse it, you know? But it's good. What value are you getting? Like if say you put your stuff into storage, I always wonder about people that have like storage lots or whatever you want to call it, like a storage container or a storage unit is the word. You throw all this stuff in there and you lock it down and you go back home. What's the purpose of having it? Like unless it's a temporary thing, if it's going to be in storage, why even bother? Why have it? Just get rid of it or find a way to get it into your place. And if you have too much stuff, you need to get rid of it or get a bigger house. I guess that's always the answer. Get more space. But yeah, it just seems silly to me. So I appreciate your feedback on there. And as far as Lego Masters, yeah, I think they definitely cater to like the younger audience. And I think kids probably love the funny stuff that Will's doing. I would call cringe, some would call funny. And that's fair. If it were me, I would like it to almost be like a YouTube vlog where it's focusing on the people and their decision making and like their background. I want to know everything about the people and what they're making and just focus on that. But maybe that doesn't make good TV. That's why only a few people watch my videos and probably several million watch Lego Masters, because it's entertaining, right? Next one comes from Bode Godzilla. Bojagzilla. I'm butchering it, but the thought is there. He says, first up, long-time listener, first-time caller. I can't mess his name up now. If he's the first-time caller, I need to get it right. Bode Godzilla. Maybe it's that. I think you should look into doing mills with your base plates. It'll add a ton to your theme park and have walkways and rivers at different elevations. Also, I watch lawn care videos for the trance-like effects. Ooh, we're going to be talking about that. About videos, boring videos that you guys enjoy watching that are super satisfying, because I've been getting into watching people seal coating driveways. But I looked into this. After your comment, I looked into the Mills base plate system. And even though it looks like it's going to be wicked expensive to do, because you're almost like building up a layer on top of your base plates, and then there's Technic holes and you can put pins in there and you can move things around, which I like. I like the idea of everything being kind of modular and manageable, as opposed to like you start loading stuff on base plates and then you want to change something, like everything's stuck to that base plate. So I think I might end up taking you up on this. It's going to be very expensive to get on Bricklink and get enough stuff to cover the table, but it might be a good idea. I might actually throw this out to like a community post, or I guess this would be a great place to discuss it. If you don't know what the mill system is, again, it's just kind of like raising everything up you take your base plate, you put some like maybe 2x2s on there. I watched a video on it. I didn't even know what it was. And then you put regular plates on top of that to create like a floor almost. And then everything else goes on that. So I might do that, but man, it just seems tempting with all my base plates sitting on the table to just start building on those. I don't know. But it might be also nice that if we ever do move or do something someday, instead of carrying this giant base plate with all this stuff on it, I can just start breaking those plates out and then carry everything individually. We'll see how it goes. I'll have to see what's in the budget for this amusement park first. But I appreciate the suggestion. Thank you for coming out of the Lego work and leaving a comment. Next one comes from Imperial Officer 07. A bit of a funny one. He says, "Wait, Greg, did my mom tell you to say that?" In response to, you can have too much Lego. He says, "There is just a weird coincidence that you're saying what my mom has been for years." Yeah, going with the second one. Still a better experience on YouTube. Yeah. Moms are always going to tell you that because they're spending the money, I guess, on buying all this stuff. Like, hey, don't you already have all the sets? You're like, Mom, you don't realize the new Star Wars wave is out and Luke's land speeder has never looked so good as it does now. They'll never understand. You got to convince them. Next one comes from Kilo Creations. It says, Lego is basically like farming to me. I love this. I love this. It says, Lego is basically like farming for me. It may take a while. It's a little pricey and it probably won't ever be finished, but it's just a fun thing to do. I really like that. Lego is basically like farming for me. It may take a little while. It's a little pricey and it probably won't ever be finished, but it's just a fun thing to do. Man, I might make that like my description on my channel. Next one here comes from Isaiah Draws. Thank you for sharing that, Kilo. It says, listening to people talk about going into high school and the next chapter really has me thinking of my next chapter. Like, am I going to grow my YouTube and Twitch, or am I going to focus on just working towards my career? But I am going into my freshman year and trying to get a job, trying to focus on school. It gets overwhelming sometimes. Yeah, I'm hearing that a lot from you younger guys. that are in high school and trying to manage your grades and all the other stuff in life, it's a lot to take on. Just know that you've got a lot of time to figure these things out. Don't get overwhelmed. Things aren't as serious as they seem sometimes, especially when you're in middle school or high school. I try to think about when I would be in situations like that, like with public speaking or something, for example, something that you feel like it just is weighing you down. I think how does this relate to my life? Like, you start expanding it out. So this is a day in my life, and my life is just some days in like history, and history is just like a part of this planet, and this planet is just a part of the universe, and this universe is a part of, I mean, I don't know where we go from there, but it's so small, it's so minute. So whatever you are going through right now, just know that like it will pass, and like things will hopefully get better if you're having a rough time right now. But everything is it's just so small, and I don't want to say that a day is meaningless, because we've talked about earlier like how a day can be powerful. But if it's just this little bit, you can steer the ship another direction. It's not hard to do. Just don't let the ship go the wrong direction too much. That's the whole purpose of this episode. If there's rocks ahead and you're starting to hit the rocks and it's getting pretty shallow, steer that thing and start going the other direction, because that direction you go is going to take you to your destination, wherever that may be. That's what we're all trying to figure out, I guess. Next message comes from Brick Stage Pass. Too much advice detect? We'll go with it. It says, I've never seen a mock made by anyone I haven't liked because it's special to them. This is in response to me feeling a little apprehensive about putting out creations of my own and like people judging them. It says you have to start somewhere, and the reason I love Lego is that you can improve them and learn as you go. You may have compromise with pieces or colors, and then they are released. I love watching people while mocking, though it's really hard for me on a stream. I look forward to seeing you do more of your thing. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Next one. Oh, here we go. If you guys are looking for something to watch on YouTube that's very calm, maybe boring, but also satisfying, this is the section of the podcast for you. This first one comes from Janelle. It says, watching people clean old headstones is oddly calming. And I've seen videos like that. It's really cool seeing. I also, if you want something similar to that, pressure washing videos. It's so good. Look up pressure washing. And actually, check out Greg's World tomorrow. There'll be a pressure washing video for you to watch, at least a part of it. Next one comes from Squarey, and he says, I find it very satisfying to watch people fly a paramotor. A couple years ago, I got into these videos made by Tucker Gott, who went viral by flying to a McDonald's. I still watch to this day. Something about flying above clouds is very surreal and calming to watch. I saw that video. It is crazy. I'm just thinking how like scary that would be. It's got like, if you haven't seen a paramotor, do a search on YouTube, but it's just a single like fan almost like blowing, and he's just flying this thing above cornfields and stuff. It's like, holy bud. Next one comes from Red Ninja Red. It says, my most satisfying thing at the moment is probably watching people customizing shoes on Instagram. I'm not even a sneakerhead, but it's entertaining to me somehow. I don't know how it is that I've seen all these things that you guys are referring to, but I watched a video just yesterday on this person that was refurbishing a pair of Jordans, and it was really fascinating to watch him like tear them apart because they were like crumbling, and then putting like a new midsole on and a sole and painting the bottom, cleaning them. I was like, this is nuts, dude. I also watched this guy, what's his name, is like Brian the Bootmaker. He makes boots, obviously, and it's fun to watch that as well. Oh man. Also, if you're looking for videos that like don't have any speaking in them, that are just kind of like relaxing, there's a channel that I really enjoy called Odd Tinkering, where the guy refurbishes like old consoles, video game consoles and controllers and things like that. It's so good. It's so darn good. But yeah, I guess I've gotten into this corner of YouTube, and I have no regrets. I love these kind of videos. Next one comes from Jedi Lego Arts. Hey, it says, rugs and carpets being cleaned. So satisfying to watch. Mesmerizingly therapeutic. There you go. You guys are going to have some options here. Next one comes from JG. It says, videos that put me in a trance. Not sure how the algorithm god sent them my way, but I can't avoid clicking on wood turning vids. Watching talented people turning a piece of wood into anything. Goblet, stable leg, baseball bat, etc. Thanks for your podcast. It's my go-to every Monday to get my work week started. Can't wait for next Monday. Hey, said no one ever. Can't wait for next Monday. Hey, if I can make your Monday just like a little bit more tolerable, that's all I could ask for, right? Next one comes from, thank you for the comments, guys, on your satisfying videos to watch. If you have any other satisfying videos that you guys enjoy, throw them out there. We're all looking for them. Next, maybe it's just me. Next one comes from Building Boundaries. Love the name. It says, firstly, let me thank you, Greg, for sharing your passion of Lego with us. Thank you for watching it. I feel it gives me hope as another Lego enthusiast to branch out and share the same passion and become a member of the community. I'd contemplated making a YouTube channel for a number of years, but due to other circumstances, I never did. Fast forward to this year, and I thought, what the heck, and started my channel with very little to no experience. As of recently, making videos has been particularly difficult, and it's been the thing that I've been putting off. With my mom still recovering from an operation and me going back to school, my time to make videos has drifted away for now. I'm hopeful for my mom's recovery and all being well, and I can start crafting videos again. I'm going to give you, I like your story. I'm going to give you some uninvited advice. I know you weren't asking for any advice-itect here, but I'm going to give you some. The same advice that I give to everyone that's starting a YouTube channel or trying to keep a YouTube channel alive. And that is just to be consistent. You say you have no time, and I'm assuming that's mostly true, but we always have the time and we always have the resources for the things that we really need or really want. Like if you really wanted to make a video, you'd be able to do it. In fact, I think you can make one this week. I'm not going to force you to do it. I was going to put the heat on you. I'm not going to do that. But all it takes is for you to sit down. I don't know what your topics are or whatever, but just share something. It doesn't even have to be edited. Just sit down, hit the record button, talk about what you want to talk about, hit that record button again and put it out. It's all the time that it takes is just that. And if you have a phone, it's so easy to put onto YouTube. But my main thing and the advice that I want to give you isn't to force you into making something or to do something you don't want to do. But if you do want to do it, consistency. I always say it, consistency. Say, how often do I want to make a video? I want to make one video a week. That video is due on Friday at 12 p.m. That's when my video is going to go live, and I must have it done by then. You need to be driven. If you're going to be a YouTube creator, if you're going to make videos on here, if you're going to take this seriously, you need to be driven. No one's forcing you. Like right now, I could literally do nothing today. I could walk away and it would be fine, right? But I want this. I want this for myself. I want to be able to put these things out. I love doing this podcast. Like you have to want it and you have to be your own boss. That's if you're taking this next level. If you're just making videos casually, nobody's forcing you to, but if you really want to do this, you can do it. I believe in you. You just gotta be a little dedicated. I'm sure you find time, and I'm not calling you out specifically. I don't want to do this, but I'm sure I'll say this in general. I'm sure you find time to watch YouTube. I'm sure you find time to scroll through Instagram or TikTok or whatever you do with your free time. I'm sure you find time to do that. And if you can find time to do that, you can find the time to do the thing that you really know in your heart that you need to be doing or want to be doing. Don't just waste it. Although if you are producing joy, that's fine with me too. Oh, it's tough. It's a tough road to walk, isn't it, guys? Trying to find the balance between wasting our lives and being productive and finding things that we enjoy and doing the things that we need to do. It's all a lot of work and a lot of thought should be put into it. Because if you're not thinking about it, you're probably not doing what's best for yourself. But it's just where I'm at right now and what's on my mind this week with the original title, How We Spend Our Weeks, or how we spend our days. In this case, weeks, because we only talk once a week. How we spend our days is how we spend our lives. Think about that this week as you go through your life. I do have one final comment here that I saved for the end, because I think this will be a good one to send us out on and a good way to go out into this week. This one is from Boyle, who really gave me some motivation this week. I was feeling a little down about missing pieces because I made the mistake of going into the analytics. And if you ever want to not continue doing something, go in and look at the numbers on YouTube and you find out like, okay, so my other videos, they're doing about this good, right? Okay, but I'm happy with that. Missing Pieces does about this good. We're down way below. We just went out of frame if you're listening to this. And I looked at like the click-through rate to see how many people actually like click on the video that see the thumbnail, and it's really low. But again, this is content that's very different from what I typically do. This is content that not many people tune into on YouTube. This is almost like a live stream in terms of length. And it's not focused on any particular topic or concise. It's just me sharing my journey or my thoughts. And obviously that's going to be less popular. But when you look at the numbers and you're like, oh my goodness, this is like literally no one wants this. Nobody wants missing pieces. Should I be spending 45 minutes of my life doing this every week, an hour of my life, and then adding up the time to process it and doing that? Should I be doing this? And the answer is always going to be yes for me, but it really did get me kind of down. But then I was doing a live stream, and Boyle donated $50 to me and mentioned how much missing pieces means. And I was really taken back by that. I was like, holy smokes, now I have to keep making these, right? But I really appreciated that, and that like meant a lot. So I told Boyle I would make the next 100 episodes sponsored by and dedicated to Boyle, who commented this week. And I'd like to share that as our send-off here. And it's a follow-up on last week. Boyle says, "Hello, Greg. I usually listen to this near the end of the week before your newest episode because I save them for landscaping. And when I reach the last lawn..." Let me rephrase this sentence. He says, "I usually listen to the podcast near the end of the week because I save them for the last lawn while I'm doing my landscaping job," I think is what he was trying to say. He says, "I'd like to get back to you about the something positive out of a negative situation. I worked very hard and got a super well-paying job. Took me a few extra years and staying in another department to achieve it, but I did. Then COVID hit, and after 3 months of having this job, I was let go. So my dad let me work for him as a landscaper as his side job for the last year and a half. Not exclusively my favorite thing to do, but I learned to stay positive and look forward to the little things like a new missing pieces. Honored." He says, "Actually, my favorite podcast. I re-listen to them whenever I'm feeling I need a bit of a mental boost. Maybe I should just make an episode for that. I'm just going to make an episode that's titled, if you need something to lift you up, this is your episode." And maybe I'll just read nothing but positive comments from people, or I'll give you affirmations or something. He says, "Well, a week ago, on my birthday, ironically, last year, that's when I was officially fired via letter after 5+ years with the company. Anyway, I found out that his dad has lung cancer, and it's pretty advanced. My dad and I were never close, but over this last year, we really started to bond. So I suppose that's my positive from a negative, kinda. So sorry for the long comment, but since I listened to you and gained so much value, been my favorite word for a while lately, thanks for everything." So Boyle worked hard at his job. He lost his job. Very negative experience. Got it working with his dad as a side job and getting close to him over the last year and a half, something he's never done before. And he just recently found out his dad had cancer, which I can relate to because my dad also had cancer, and he passed away in 2015 from that. So this one kind of hit me, hit close to home, I guess is the phrase. But my dad and I didn't have that opportunity. We weren't really that close either. My dad never really put time into me or my hobbies, which has enabled me, I think, in the long run, to become a better father myself, because that's what I love to do with Clark, man. And I don't see how you couldn't. But Boyle lost his job. He goes to work with his dad, gets close to him, gets this news, which is devastating. I'm hoping that he recovers from this, but Boyle's thankful in this case that he's had this time to spend with his dad, because otherwise it wouldn't have happened. So had he not lost that job, this positive thing in a world of negative things, it seems, for Boyle, actually turned out to be a good thing. And that was the message in last week's episode, is that sometimes when bad things happen, they ultimately end up being good. And you may not see it in the moment, but later, as you look back, you're like, you know what? That's the way it was meant to be. And I'm not a person that believes in just letting things happen to you. As I mentioned earlier, I feel like you need to be driven regardless of what you do. But sometimes things are just meant to be. And sometimes you have to have faith that things are going to work out and things are ultimately going to end up on your side. And that's been my experience so far through life. That's not to say that's always going to be that way. And I'll certainly be here to share those days with you as well. I've definitely had my share of negative things that have happened, but they do help you become the person you are today. And those things that did happen to you have put you on the path you're on. And I'm hoping, regardless of who you are, whether you have a family member that's ill or any other negative thing that's happened to you, just know that the path you're on is the one that was intended for you. And you're going to get through it, whatever it is. So this is my message to Boyle and Boyle's dad. I wish you guys the best. You can see why I had to save this for the end. Just stay positive, guys. Spend as much time as you can together. And if there's anything that you want to say to your dad, and this goes for anybody, if there's anything that you want to say to anyone in your life, say it to them today. And that's where I'll leave you guys with. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Missing Pieces. I hope you have a glorious week. Make it the best one that you can, and we'll find you in the next episode.